starting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 15th edition of the PB Political Podcast. I'm Ishan Pokrell.
My name is Cameron Cummings, and today we are with Mr. Lieutenant Governor Andrew Dillard from the Alabama 85th session of Boise State.
Yeah, as Cam said, my name is Andrew Dillard. I'm here from Huntsville, representing Huntsville High. I had the joy and the pleasure of going to the 85th annual Boise State, winning Lieutenant Governor. So it was a great week. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited to get to talk about it.
Yeah, so let's just kind of go through your experience, because we were both there last year, but this year was different, because last year was two classes combined into one. Mm-hmm. This year was just you guys.
We had Troy. We were at Troy instead of Bama.
Bama, yeah. So how was the experience there last week?
Well, everybody said you're going to make lifelong friends. Everybody was like, oh, you're going to never wish it ended. And, everybody was right. I think 100% It's one of those things where you can't really explain it fully into detail unless you've been. And I mean that in not like a cultish way, but it really is like an experience that it just clicks. And
like a cult.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
a great time.
It's a bond that I think I'll never forget. I'm still, obviously it's been 3 days, but I've got guys that might be Auburn roommates one day. So it's just like it was a really, really, really cool week. So
yeah. So
I guess before, a lot of people don't know what Boise State is, so we just give them a quick 30-second history lesson. The American Legion Boise State and American Legion Auxiliary Girls State programs are a summer leadership and citizen program for high school juniors, which are going into seniors. You'll be a senior next year. Yeah. So it's that summer in between, and it'll be exploring the mechanics of American government and politics. They're sponsored by the American Legion. This one obviously is sponsored by the Alabama American Legion. It's been going on since 1935 with a 2-year gap of, where they didn't have it.
Yeah, no one knows why.
And it's in every state, and including the District of Columbia, so Washington, D.C., except in Hawaii, where there's only a girls' state program. Other than that, it's really just they try to bring in everyone from all across the state. Most schools have a chance to nominate a few people. Last year, there were about 6 from my school nominated. Also different clubs and organizations such as junior fraternities, the FFA, programs like that can also sponsor kids to go down, as well as the American Legion sponsors a certain amount of kids from each post.
And we had 3. We had 3 from Huntsville High.
3 from Huntsville High.
We had 6 last year.
Which is crazy because, with a school of 2,200, we're 7A, we shouldn't have had way more. But,
Well, a lot of the guys that I met last year, they were a lot from, just kind of middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we had one kid in my state was from Pineapple, which is a population of, I want to say,
Pineapple.
Yeah, 250 maybe, if not less.
Yeah, they don't really advertise it though up here. I didn't think any advertising.
They didn't. They advertise it in certain areas, but the way Boise State, it breaks down into city, county, and state government, with the highest 2 being governor, lieutenant governor, and the 2 alternates being U.S. senators. And Andrew, and well as the governor, this year will be going off to Boise Nation in July. Sometime in the mid-July we'll be going down.
July 22nd. 22nd. We lead. Yeah. And Cam had the pleasure of going to that last year, winning vice president, to brag on him a little bit. But I'm excited about that. That's going to be really cool. Get to go to D.C. And I only imagine the connections and the friends I'll meet down there. It's just going to keep on rolling, keep on snowballing. So,
yeah, that sounds. You went as representing Michigan because of the COVID stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. Well, that'll be a later.
Let's go into your campaign.
Let's hear about what you got
just now. So, how did you actually manage to pull this off? Because I couldn't pull it off last year, so I'm just kind of damn.
So
how'd you do it?
So, I think the number one thing, or actually 2 things. I think if I had to pick 2 big points that got me to where I was number 1 the grind, and number 2 was probably the confidence. So when I say the grind, when you hear anyone talk about Boise State, the number 1 thing they're going to say, oh, people already have posters up. People are already campaigning from the second you get off the bus. You hear that a lot, and that was definitely how it was for me. From the second I got off that bus, I wasn't going to people at lunch, sitting down and saying, hey, vote for me. I wasn't going and putting posters up the second I got there. The second I got off that bus, I was meeting people. I was talking to people. You have to build a relationship. And when I say the grind is not convincing people. It's meeting people. And so when I got off that bus, I want to say every single day of Boise State, I went to bed around 1 a.m., 12:30 to 1 a.m. And lights out is like a 10:45 kind of deal. But I was up in my room every single night just getting crap done. I mean, writing people's names down, writing down. We had a guy in our city that had a notebook of every single kid in Boise State, their name, their city, who they were talking, like what other cities they were working with, almost like an alliance kind of deal. And we literally had it strategically planned out so that the next day I could go and I could meet those people. And I mean, we were waking up at 5:30 for flag ceremony in the morning, and I was going to bed at 1. So I was running on about 4.5 hours of sleep every single day. I brought a Camelback, and I filled it with Monster Energy. I'm so serious. And I literally lived off of Monster Energy every single day. And so, like, every second I got, whether it was at lunch, whether it was free time, I was shaking hands, I was meeting people, and I don't think I ever once said, vote for me. I mean, you that's implied at a certain point, and so it's just like, you just get to know people. And because of that, I mean, I now have, like, you know, you meet the guys in your city, and I said those guys are going to be lifelong friends, but I mean, there's people that I'm going to be talking to, I think, a long way down the road, just hundreds of people that I met in the last week. So I think that's definitely the way to do it, is just to be a good, genuine person, because everybody there is trying to get votes, and I mean, and that's just gimmicky, and it's cheesy, and it gets real old real quick. So number 2 thing I said was confidence. There's a lot, you know, you got 500 kids there. It's this big mock political game almost, and all 500 people want to win in some way. All 500 people are a leader, mostly all 500 people are some kind of leader in their own hometown. And so everybody there knows how to lead. Everybody there is typically a straight A student. And you get in that room with 500 people, and the lions and the sheep really show. The people that aren't willing to step up don't step up. You know, they're all supposed to be leaders, but who really is truly in their blood? And so when you're running, I think I ran against 11 people in my party for lieutenant governor, and then of course I ran against the one nominee from the other party. There's 2 parties, nationalist and federalist, so I was nationalist. But when you're getting up there on stage, you know, everybody that's running against you, they had the confidence to get up on stage. They had the confidence to write a speech. They had the confidence to get up in front of 250 or 500 people and run their campaign. But the job's not finished at that point. Yeah, there's 11 nominees or 11 candidates. How many of those 11 are really going to put in the work to not have some gimmicky speech, to think outside the box? So it's a constant game of being confident in yourself and being confident that when you think outside the box, you're not matching everybody else. Everybody's going to get up there and say, I was SGA president. Everybody's going to get up there and say, I started the the chess club at my school. I started, you know, people are going to say stuff like that, and I didn't start the chess club. That's just an example.
You're not rocking with the chess club?
What?
You're not rocking with the
chess
club?
I'm not. No. I'm
making
not,
sure.
I have nothing against the chess club. I mean, you know. But, I mean, everybody's getting up there, and they're saying stuff like that, and you have to be on the ball. You have to think outside the box, and you got to spend every second you get making progress. It's a game of who really, really wants it. So.
And Alabama has the second biggest program in this country, right? Texas is the biggest, right?
Texas
is like 1,100 people. Yeah.
And don't quote me, but I want to say Florida.
So we have the second biggest.
Yes.
Which is why we have like a median population. We have like one of like 25th in population. We have one of the biggest programs. So that's something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you had to beat out like 500. Well, how many people do you have this year, actually?
500-ish. 400 to 500.
This year, the exact number was about 490, 495, so pushing 500. We started with 500, but some kids had to leave. Some got sick.
Yeah.
But we started with about 508.
Yeah, well, Cam was a counselor this year, so he was there as well. I was just wondering because like the population to program density is way higher here, so it's something. I don't even. Okay. You were at Troy University. How was that?
Yeah, so Troy, I had never been to Troy. I grew up Auburn. We're an Auburn family, and I'll end up going to Auburn next year. I guess it's the year after next. I don't know how that'll work out. Something like that.
2023.
I'm going into senior year, so I was really surprised with Troy. I mean, when I have heard of Troy, I always thought of it as like a real niche kind of small school. And when I got there, I mean, it's a really, really pretty campus. Decent sized campus. I mean, it's not tiny. It's not massive. It's no Tuscaloosa, but I mean, it's definitely like put its spot in my mind on the map. Everybody that I met there was like representatives from Troy. They were all cool. Everybody was great. So I mean, anybody that goes there, I definitely wouldn't wouldn't bash them at all. It seems like a great school. It seems like a great place, and it was great for Boise State because it was such a like moderate size. Everything was in probably a 10-minute walk, which was really nice, especially after winning the office, having to go back and forth between offices, the Senate and the governor's office, and the places we had general sessions, which is where we did like speeches, and the place we had talks in from some of the speakers at Boise State. I think I walked a total of 50 miles throughout the week, 10 miles a day, which was just nuts. Yeah. So the campus being close-knit was definitely huge.
How did you went to Bama? We were at Bama last year, and you were at Troy this year. So how did you like to compare? Like, how would you compare them?
How would I compare them? Bama and Troy are two different beasts. Yeah. First, the one thing, the pro for Bama, but also was for campaigning and just in general, getting close to people, was because like Andrew said, some of the closest people you meet will be outside of your city. Me and Ishan both went to Boise State, but we didn't meet until Wednesday, and we were completely opposite cities. Yeah. And here we are now, recording a podcast in his basement. I mean, hey, that's just the connections you make. It's a joke when I'm being dead serious. But comparing the two, all 16 cities were all in Presidential 1, so we're all in one really big dorm. But in Troy, we were split up between 4 different dorms. Really? I want to say there were 2 to 3 cities in each dorm. There was 1 through 400. So enough for 2 and then 2 extra cities to be in there. Presidential 1, everyone was in one just big dorm, which I don't know, like you got to see a lot more campaign materials like crammed into one place. Yeah. So it was easy to get your name out there. It was really easy just to like meet people stepping out on an elevator. Yeah. You'd be more likely filled with seeing people from cities 1 through 12 just all in one elevator.
Yeah, because we we just had 4 blocks, so it'd be like room or cities 1 through 4 on the first floors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was pretty. So the way that was set up, I don't know. I think it was more interesting because it was easier to just like meet people than meeting people in the lunchroom. I'm not saying that's difficult, but saying it's just a different experience. But the one pro for Troy, walking both, is the distance. Because if you're late to something, like if you're late to breakfast, you might as well just stay in your dorm. Because from Pres 1 to the cafeteria felt like 8 miles. Everything was so spread out. And I mean, that's the best they could do because they needed halls big enough to hold 650, 700 people. Yeah. But the walks were brutal. We'd have to leave like 10, 15 minutes in advance to make it. Oh, yeah, for sure.
5 minutes late.
It was like Lakeview. Shout out to Lakeview. Or it's called Lakeshore. I don't know what it was called, but shout out to them. It was pretty good food. But
Troy had also some pretty good food.
Yeah, Troy, they had like stir fry on the second floor, which was great. But we had I want to say, like in my dorm, we had 2 cities in that one dorm. We had City 5, which was Cam's dorm, or Cam's city, was first and second floor, I want to say. And we were
3rd and 4th.
And we were 3rd and 4th. So we legit had 2 cities in each dorm building. So like what Cam was saying, in your dorm room, you only have one opportunity, or you only have one city that you can really connect with, and that you only have one city that's going to see your poster. With campaign materials, they only let us put up posters, or we were only supposed to, at least. Some people broke that rule. I didn't, but we were only supposed to put campaign materials in our dorm. And so City 5 was the only group that ever got to see any of besides my stickers and stuff, nobody else got to see that. And so I think that definitely kind of funneled everybody into the lunchroom. Like that was the main place people were really trying really hard to make connections. And that also is what helped make it so forced. Feel so forced because people were like, okay, I have an hour for lunch. I got to be on the ball. And some people just, like I said, were too gimmicky. They'd sit down next to you. They'd hand you a pamphlet. They'd be like, hey, man, what's your name? They'd be super overly friendly. And then they just would cut to the chase and be like, listen, man, I just need you to vote for him. I mean, I think it definitely, because of that, the dorm situation, it made people feel like they had to make connections in the lunchroom, which was not the case.
And one thing I did explain to you when I first met you at the orientation for the Huntsville Madison people was you can do that. You can sit down. But the way and if someone is listening, then they may go to Boise State, this would be even better. Make a connection somehow. Like I did a whole bunch of things in high school. One of the things I did was for a short time I did baseball.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Not this is before high school. Like I did like t-ball and like baseball. I was terrible.
No,
that's why I didn't play in high school because I was terrible. And I knew a lot of kids. You can tell when someone looks like a baseball player, or just look. You can see someone tell they play a certain sport, or tell they can do something. Just find some way, whether it's just a genuine conversation talking about sports. Last year, it was after the NBA Finals. Because if it was this year, I would just solely talk about the Celtics and just found like Celtics fans or Celtics haters and just like had a good time. So make it more than just a 2-second interaction. Yeah, you may not be able to see as many people, but the people that you interact with, will have your back. And if someone has your back hard enough, they can get their city to be like, hey, I can vouch for him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's somebody I think we should vote for. Because what you need, in all honesty, is a few people in each city. You need to talk to everyone. Yeah. You do. But if you can't, try to at least see everyone. As many people as you can. Don't target a certain group of people. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And if you do listen to this and you win anything at Boys State next year, let us know and come on the podcast.
You can come on the podcast.
It'll be like a revolving door.
The group will just keep growing.
Yeah.
But definitely, I agree with Cam. Like, you kind of have to plant a seed in a way. If there's a city, that you make one really good friend in, I mean, you never know if that one friend, when it comes down to the polls, if that one friend's going to pipe up and say, hey, guys, I met this kid. We don't know the other candidate, but we do know this guy. He's genuine. He's a good guy. He comes from Huntsville. And when I say plant a seed, that's what I mean. Like, that one guy has the power to butterfly effect and get the entire city behind you.
Now, you won, so, like, how did you campaign? Did you, like, other than, like, the meeting people part, did you actually go with some issues, like, that would... Did you go, like, kind of realistic and try to, like, talk about, like, issues with the state, or did you just kind of campaign with vibes, as it were?
So, 100%. So, there were a lot of people campaigning based off of their personality. When I say that, I mean they were selling themselves, not selling the policies that they or their party had made up. I definitely have. I'll just say right off the bat, I've taken the political party or political spectrum test. I'm a centrist. I fall right almost directly in the middle. And so I 100% have my own opinions about anything from, gun control to abortion to drug abuse. I have my own thoughts on a lot of that, and a lot of that kind of stuff reflected what our party stood for, our platform. And so, I would say if I walked into a building, 1 in 3 times that I would walk into a building, whether it's an office, whether it's cafeteria, whether it's my dorm, there were people there wanting to ask me questions. Not like stalkers, but they would see me and they would like light bulb, boom, there's Andrews running for lieutenant governor, and they would ask me questions. Like straight up interview me on the spot, little 5-minute talks. And that was definitely part of the grind, I would say. Like I answered my stuff truthfully. I had my own opinions. And I made sure that I wasn't shut off from the other person's opinion. Today's world is so much like that, where people have one way of thinking. They don't have a growth mindset, and they're going to say their opinion. They're not going to argue it. They're just going to say it. They're going to stand by it. They're going to argue it till the day they die. And when I stated like my policies on stuff and the way I felt about things, a lot of times people went for it. People really liked what I had to say. I want to say, I don't want to say that as like a snobby thing. People really did like what I had to say. But there's always going to be haters in anything you do. And so there were always people, or not haters, naysayers, I'd say. There were 100% people where I would say something, very few, and they would be like, I disagree with that, and here's why. And I thought that was really cool because we were able to kind of work. In a lot of my speeches, I made it really clear that I was there to reflect everybody at Boise State, not just represent them. Because if I'm just there to represent them, then am I really taking into account what they have to say? I'm there to amplify what they've got to say. And so I 100%, to really answer the question, campaigned with my policies as well. There's a balance between selling yourself and selling the political side of it. And I definitely tried really hard to meet the middle there and get both sides of that. I think you have to if you want to win. If you want it, you're going to have to.
So, do you have any other experience with, elected, were you in SGA, were you elected to anything else at school? Or
Yeah. So, and I didn't talk about this at Boys State at all. I don't think I really told anybody this. I'm senior class president, Huntsville High. Going into senior year, I'll be senior class president. Yeah. And then also the mascot at Huntsville High. I've been doing that since 7th grade.
Wait,
like the big red panther.
Yo, dab me up for that one.
Yeah. And the common question is, Andrew, are you a furry? No, I am not a furry. No, I'm going to say it once and for all. No, I am not a furry. It's a school spirit thing. And I've
put that
done
in air quotes for me.
Yeah, literally.
Put the furry in air
That's
quotes.
That's going to be the TikTok
I am not. My name is Andrew Dillard, and I am not a furry.
I should have put that on my poster, really.
For context of this episode, watch the whole episode.
Yeah. So I've been doing that since 7th grade. I started doing it in middle school, and I just loved it, man. Ever since I was little, like I said, I'm an Auburn guy. I've wanted to be Aubie, so maybe we'll get there one day. But I started doing it in middle school, did it all throughout then, and then I even did it at high school games in middle school for a while, and then now being in high school, I'm still doing it, and I plan on doing it next year. Also, there's a group in Huntsville so I'll start off by saying Boys State is sponsored and ran by a group called the American Legion. There's a group similar to them. I would say similar. It's another kind of, not society, but club kind of feel called the Oratorical Society. Yeah. And so I want to say 8th or 9th grade, they had a public speaking, almost like a tournament kind of thing, like a contest. They came into our schools, and I was in peer helper at the time, and they had a bunch of their representatives, and it's all older guys, and they all came in there. You know, these guys are in like their 60s, 70s, 80s. They've been in this club for their whole lives. And they came in and explained, well, how we're having a speech competition, public speaking thing. Immediately, everybody in the room was like, ugh. You know, we don't want to have a bunch of old dudes tell us we have to give speeches, you know.
Then they said for money.
And then they said it was for money. And once it was for money, that dinged in my head like, oh, maybe I should try. And I ended up getting a lot more out of that than the money. I ended up finding a love for that kind of thing. I ended up finding out that I really, really, really enjoyed that and getting to talk to people and getting to meet people. And so I ended up winning that, and I went on to, I want to say, the state finals. And at that point, there's not really an age limit. So I was going against like 25-year-old dudes. So I didn't win the state level, but I mean, I had so much fun doing it and traveling around and getting to do that. So that was really cool.
Nice. So how much was it, like a scholarship thing?
No, it was $200 cash.
Money? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it was cash. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Cash is king. I guess now we've gone through a lot of your side. Who would you say? Because I mean, you say you ran. You know, you didn't run like with a governor. You didn't like. Some people last year kind of ran jointed. Like me and
they lost, though.
Yeah, me and this governor are a tag team. We're gonna help you guys out.
Yeah.
And from what you said, it doesn't seem like you did that. And from me being down there, it didn't seem like you did that as well.
No.
But obviously, you had like a quote unquote team behind you of people that supported you and wanted to see
Yeah.
you. So how did that work out? And who did you really have to like lean on to help you?
So I'm a big believer in the idea that when you're down, sometimes you're only going to have your own two legs to get back up. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I tried to not tie myself. And in one of my debates, I did accidentally slip up once or twice and mention tying myself to our governor on my party. But for the most part, like Cam said, I tried not to. I tried to run independent. And that's mainly because, like, if you do that, and this is to anybody watching going in the future, if you do that, if I'm a voter and you tie yourself to your other, say you're governor and you tie yourself to your lieutenant governor, or your lieutenant governor and you tie yourself to your governor, like I almost did. Say I don't know you. Say I forget you, I forget your speech. At the polling place, if I'm voting Federalist, if I know you're tied to the candidate I don't like, then I'm not going to vote for you. I don't know who you are. I just know you're tied to the guy I don't like. So I automatically have a negative perception. So you want to be able to stand independent in case somebody's like, okay, I want to have a Federalist governor and a nationalist lieutenant governor. And a lot of people want to have a balance, and that's one way to do it. But the way having people in other cities kind of back me up really helped me. I had a lot of I had some friends that I hadn't seen in a long time at Boys State. There was a guy named Patrick, and I used to go to a church camp with Patrick in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And while we never were like big friends, like big close buddies, we knew each other. We knew what school we went to. We had a couple conversations. And so when I saw him at Boys State, we both looked at each other from across the room. We're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in 3 years. What's up? I mean, yeah, so that was really cool. And he immediately from the get-go, like, they actually conveniently had a governor in the same party running for office, which he ended up winning as well. He won governor, I won lieutenant governor. So he immediately from the get-go was like, we're behind you, we're backing you. Obviously, as long as you're a good candidate, your own city is probably going to back you. If they don't, then that's on you.
That is really on you. If you can't get the people you've been with all week to vote for you,
you're
not going to get anyone else to vote for you.
That's not good.
But
No.
I guess, I rephrase the question a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, people within your city. Like, there's people that are not running.
Yeah.
Like, last year when I ran, no one else in my city ran for that position. So it was all Cameron, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cameron wins or nothing. So, who there were obviously, I had some key figures that were like, they were going out for me.
Yeah.
When I couldn't. Like, if I was,
Yes, sir.
If I had like people that I couldn't, there's something sometimes I couldn't go out.
Yeah.
So like, who would you say like some key figures?
Who was really campaigning for me?
Yeah, like who was
really
not people you tied yourself to, but like people that weren't running
that really fought for me.
Yeah,
absolutely. We had a kid, and I'll say his name because he was so awesome. His name was David Doyle.
Shout out to these guys.
Shout out to David Doyle.
David Doyle, man. So David had you can only go to Boise State one time, so I'll go ahead and say this to help anybody watching. David Doyle had a notebook for Nationalists, and he had a notebook for Federalists. I might have talked about this earlier. He had a list of everybody and every party, what they were running for, who they were alliance with, who they were not alliance with. David went out there. He talked to everybody. He told them about me, and he wasn't even in my party. He was Federalist and I was Nationalist. But he went to the guys and he said, hey, if you don't have a candidate, we've got this guy named Andrew. He gave him stickers, and I want to say everybody in my city asked me personally for multiple stickers. They came up to me and were like, hey man, can I get some of your campaign materials to hand out? I want to fight for you. And that was huge. Like it really meant a lot to me when people came to me to ask for stuff, because that really showed that people trusted in me. And in a way, it was an all our eggs in one basket thing, like Cameron said. But definitely there were 100% people in my city being proactive and going out. And that just made things like lunch even easier, because it was no longer, oh my gosh, I have this 1 hour at lunch to like bust my butt and talk to as many people. We had half the city going out and doing that. So there was a good, and we had another guy in my city running for attorney general, and we had another guy in my city running for governor. And sadly, he didn't win, but our guy that ran for attorney general did win. And so we had almost a full list of guys running for stuff for a ton of different positions, and we were able to help multiple people in our city by talking to multiple people in other cities. So
let's shift this a little bit to the national scale, because now that because a lot of people listening haven't been to Boise State or won't go to Boise State, whatever. If you win lieutenant governor or governor positions, you get to go to Boise Nation in D.C. the end of the summer, and Andrew gets to go. So congratulations. First thing, Cameron went last year, but he represents Alabama. So
we'll talk about that. Like it's a long story.
And,
long story.
But yeah, so he'll be up there with about like 101 other people.
100 flat.
100 flat. Well,
100 flat.
There's two people from Alabama, so.
Well, yeah, they'll be like 100. Exactly 100. No,
the lieutenant governor and the governor from every state
DC.
go, and so there'll be around 100 even.
Whatever.
Two people per state.
Because
there's no they dropped Hawaii. And it's Washington D.C. takes their spot.
Shout out to Hawaii for not having it.
Shout out to Hawaii for not having Boise State.
Keeping it even. Anyways, so you're gonna be up there, and you told us earlier you might run for something. We don't want to like corner you in, obviously, but what are you looking forward to up there?
Well, I already said looking forward to meeting more people. Everybody at Boise State was a leader, and the best leaders won. So everybody at Boise Nation is going to be really, really interesting. I'm just really excited to meet some really cool people. I'm planning on going big. I'm planning on going for president or vice president or president pro tem. So I'm really excited to do that, and just to see everybody else, to see the cream of the crop, and kind of just have fun and make the most of it. I think there's no reason why I shouldn't, shoot for the moon. If I don't make it, I'll still land on a star. I'm already there. I'm already in DC. So I mean, it really, seize the day. That's kind of the mentality.
Do you know when you're going? Like, is there like dates?
July 22nd, I believe. I'll be gone for a week.
So the thing is about Boise Nation is a lot of states do it differently. When I went up there, some are elected, most are elected, but some go through like heavy interview processes to get like I want to say Arkansas did it.
So like they elect them and then they have to get interviewed, or
no, like they say I want to go to Boys Nation.
Oh.
And the Legionnaires, the American Legion people that run the program, interview them to be like, they themselves pick who they feel like would be the strongest candidate.
Even if you win governor or lieutenant governor?
Yeah, it's more or less just like an honor thing.
It's kind of weird
in their states.
I can see that though. I see why, I guess, but that's just kind of.
I do.
The whole democratic part of it kind of goes away in that.
The whole.
It's kind of ironic, yeah.
And the whole thing where if you win governor or lieutenant governor, you automatically go to nation might not be the best system. Sometimes the wrong people get in office. We see that in real life, and we definitely see that at Boys State, I think.
You'll definitely see it at Boys Nation, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, it'll be much harder to see.
Think so?
Like to see like the wrong person get elected.
Well, not to get elected.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say like some of the people you will run against.
Yeah.
And everyone there is like, you can't run off hype alone.
You won, so it can't be that bad.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah. All you need is a good ghostwriter.
Yeah. Ooh, shout out to me.
No, shout out to me.
What?
Yeah. You kind of just wrote the title and stuff.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah, you kind of just wrote the title.
I mean, Cam won, and now he's just sitting in the basement.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the basement.
Really, where is he?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sitting in the basement with scholarship money. So that's all that really matters to me, man. But I guess you want to go through like comparing and contrasting our boy states?
I don't know. I mean, we can. How long has it been? How long?
We got like at least we've been here like 90 minutes.
How long has it been? Oh, we don't want to go 90 minutes. That'll be too long.
90 minutes. That's for like 32.
Yeah, we can't go too long.
Yeah, well, you trying to jump into Nation for a little bit?
Yeah, let's get into Boys Nation. See what
for sure.
Like. I mean, in general, you were there, so let's.
Yeah, so we'll jump into this little weird story. So last year in 2021, 4 states did not have a Boys State program. So the American Legion, each state has 2 slots. So the American Legion took those 8 slots, put them on a lottery. Alabama won the 2 extra slots. The way Alabama Boys State works is it's a governor, lieutenant governor, obviously already go. But say Andrew gets sick and he can't go. There's United States Senator place 1 and 2. So if Andrew gets sick and can't go, United States Senator place 1 would take his spot. If the governor gets sick and he can't go, then both U.S. senators would take their spots. So there's 4 people that can go to nation. So if something happens, you can't go.
Which would be heartbreaking.
I
would be livid.
There will be someone. We won't be sending 99 people to Boys Nation. There will be an even 100 no matter how that works out. So the way it worked out for me is I filled in the 2 me and a kid named Aiden.
Shout out to Aiden. He was on the podcast.
Yeah, Aiden was on the podcast with the Environmental Youth Council. Me and him both won the U.S. Senator spots and went to Boys Nation, but we sat behind the Michigan flag, even though we were Alabamians. So it was kind of weird to tell everyone, hey, we're from Alabama, even though we're, with Michigan. It doesn't matter. It was a great experience. I'm still so glad I got to go. I wish I would have ran for governor, lieutenant governor. Not for the, to sit behind Alabama. I would have loved that, but just for the experience. I mean, it would have been great, but I was just glad to go up there. The difference really is I think you'll see, and a lot of people get shocked by is not shocked, but you should go. You can go in there knowing everyone that made it there deserves to be there. Yeah. There is very few mistakes made getting people up there, and everyone goes up there with a mission. Most president, a lot of people vice, some people president pro tempore. But everyone has a mission of what they want to do, and everyone wants to use that as a building block for either scholarship, to either go to like Harvard or Yale or some big school, and they want to use their victory there as a stepping stone. And a lot of people go in there undefeated, never lost. They're council president, they've never lost a speech competition, they've never lost a debate, and if they lose, that's like their first big loss they've ever taken. So it's a lot going on. It's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different people, meeting people from Montana, seeing the different walks of life they go through, and still being in contact with pretty much all of them, and seeing where all going to college. Some of the Boys Nation people are going to college with me.
Really?
2 of them are. Yeah,
yeah,
2 of them are. No, 3 actually. Pretty cool. A lot are just going off. A lot of them stay local. Some go off to bigger schools. But it's just really great to see how each people from each state interact and go in with completely different perspectives on everything. Some are pro-agriculture because everyone, kind of a blanket statement, but their whole life revolves around it. They work on a farm. Their parents own 18 acres of land. They've been tending it their whole lives. But whether that or not, they're still super sharp. So, everyone has a different perspective. From the New York City guy, the two guys from New York City or New York may not be as pro-farming as the guys from Montana. So it's just so many different people, so many different moving parts, and seeing so many different speeches. So much fun. It's a great time.
And I imagine, Cameron, correct me, because obviously, he's going to know it better than I am. He was talking about the kids that have never lost anything in their lives, kids that have never lost a speech debate, the kids that have never lost at Boise State. I imagine the kids that really hits them hard if they win or if they do lose. Sometimes that could be, there's kids that are going to be there, correct me if I'm wrong, where they're relying on that scholarship money. They might come from a place where they're not going to get boatloads of money from themselves or their parents to go to a huge, D1 college. And so I imagine that there's going to be kids there that they're really, really relying on that. They're fighting for that position, but more importantly, they're fighting for that scholarship opportunity. Is that kind of what for some people, we might see that?
Kind of. A lot of people use Boys Nation, as they should, as a stepping stone to the future. Yeah. Obviously, Bill Clinton, he went to Boys Nation. Yeah. Obviously, he became president of the United States. And several other congressmen, U.S. senators, governors, they use, even when they're 40, Boys Nation is a mark, like a stamp that will, no matter, when you grow older, the SJ presidents and stuff, those will slowly start fading away. But that Boys Nation stamp on your resume of life, if you want to be a politician or an attorney, which a lot of people do, or just work anywhere, you could be 45, 35, fresh out of college, and still leave that on your resume, and it would still hold an incredible amount of weight, because to go to such lengths and still succeed is phenomenal. Yeah. So people at the Boise State Nation that I've talked to that are 60, 65, they're like, yeah, man, they're sort of like the big 5 things I remember in my life. My marriage, the birth of my kids, and Boys Nation and State are like huge things in people's lives.
That's crazy. Yeah. Almost every adult I've talked to, even before Boise State and now after, with winning lieutenant governor, I think Cam would agree, almost every adult I've talked to it about knows what it is, and they know what it means and what it holds. It's a renowned kind of thing, for sure. Like you said, the stamp, 100%.
That's everything about Boise State and Nation. I think it's pretty true. How about moving past this summer? Do you have any plans moving forward between your senior year and you said you're SGA president or class president? So, yeah. And you're probably gonna go to Auburn, right?
Yeah.
So do you have anything else in the works for next year?
Anything else in the works?
FurryCon?
No FurryCon.
Come on, at least one. Go to at least one. Go to at least one of them.
I want to keep this momentum going. A lot of opportunities, a lot of doors are now open, and I put my foot in a lot of doors, I think, for sure. I want to keep the momentum going, for sure. I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning. How do I explain this? Buying and selling shoes and vintage clothing. I started a small business in 7th grade doing that, and I've done it ever since. I want to keep that up. I want to keep meeting people. I think I'm going to definitely keep pushing that throughout high school, maybe even college, depending on how much time I have. But I don't think the road stops here. I think the road's just starting. So I definitely, while I don't know what the future holds, I believe that if I know that I can make it bright, then it'll happen. We can manifest it almost. But I think we can. I'm definitely going to keep pushing to be the best person I can be, to get into the best opportunities I can put myself in, and to just keep waking up every day, enjoying life. I think a lot of us are really blessed with the opportunities that we have, and we don't. We take that for granted. So, yeah.
Wraps spot up.
That's everything.
Thank you for coming on. This was fun.
Absolutely.
I hadn't met you before today, so we're recording this episode in advance, by the way. So that you're gonna see the episode before this episode. We're gonna be wearing the same clothes. Don't worry about that. You can find us. Or actually, where can everybody find you first?
Well, we're giving free shout outs now.
We've been shouting out people.
I mean, if y'all want,
I'm joking. Keep going. Go.
Instagram's Andrew Dillard_. You can find me there. If you have any questions, just DM me. I'd love to talk. If you're going to Boise State, I can almost promise you me or Cameron would love to help you. Well, we can't really to a certain extent, but I mean, I would love to just...
he's one thing I'm going to throw in there.
Yeah.
This year I was a counselor because obviously being Boys Nation Vice President, but Governor and Lieutenant Governor get invited back as counselors. So next year, hopefully, me and Andrew will be counselors together in the same city. Would be great. No, we will. That will be a city of greatness. I don't care what anyone says. We will sweep everything. But yeah. So if you have any questions, anyone, Andrew will be a counselor next year. I will be. Ishan said he's gonna try to be a counselor. Yeah, we can get Ishan. Ishan will be our third.
Oh, absolutely.
God. Yes, we'll be making a great team. Yes, yeah. Three Stooges of victory. But yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Yeah. That's it. Just Instagram.
That's it. I just think just reach out to me on Instagram. That's probably the best way to get into contact. But I appreciate y'all for having me. This has been really fun. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I think people that a lot of people haven't been to Boise State. Everybody thinks of it kind of as a cult. And to be fair, there's elements of it that's kind of culty. But I think
that's patriotism, man. Patriotism.
Yeah.
Patriotism. Come on, get it right.
My bad. For PB Political, you guys know where to find us at PB Political AL, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at PB Political on TikTok. You've seen the TikTok; it's been up and rolling now. It's doing pretty well, I'd say. Of course, we're saying this in advance, so I have no idea if it's true. But you can email us at info@pbpolitical.com and booking@pbpolitical.com, especially if you have any media requests or anything, especially look at booking.com. What the light's just flickering.
It's a sign.
That's weird. Check pbpolitical.com out. A lot of new articles out there. We're getting more consistent there. Check out our GoFundMe if you're so inclined. The donations will help. That's about it. I think we can probably keep going. But I'm Ishan Pokral.
My name's Cameron Cummings.
And goodbye.